imagine you wake up one morning and you're forced to flee your home. My parents had to flee East Africa in the 1970s and start a new life in London and then in Canada. I myself was displaced and had to experience, starting over again and not having a home. There are over 67 million refugees in the world, and that number has doubled since 10 years ago. Most of these refugees are in developing countries, especially in Africa. And they lack access to water, they barely have electricity, they face food insecurity, they don't have electricity for the most part, most of them are unemployed, and a big chunk of those unemployed are the women and the youth. But the good thing about them is that they're amazingly resilient. We like to call them the Wonder People. And it's amazing how creative and entrepreneurial they are, how they're able to create things from almost nothing. So who knew that, putting together refugees and an amazing solution like hydroponics, which is basically growing food, nutritious produce, which you can create in the desert with no soil, 90% less water than traditional agriculture, using a pump, a solar panel, a few materials, recycled materials like PVC pipes, very simple things, could actually allow them to grow nutritious food in the desert. So sometimes it's not about inventing new ideas. Social innovation isn't always about inventing new ideas or coming up with the next big thing. How can we really use different things that already exist and put them together in new ways? How can we go beyond our comfort zone and collaborate with other industries? For example, I'm not an agronomist by any means. I'm a foodie and I'm a fast learner. I didn't know much about agriculture, but I got out of my comfort zone and saw that there's this potential to take something that we see high tech here in the States or in Western countries and adapt it to the local context to be able to feed the refugees. And in fact, a lot of the refugees had agriculture experience in their home country, so it actually wasn't that difficult to train them to use these new technologies and adapt them to their local context. So as leaders, it's much easier to make that impact when we can relate to others. For me, I could relate to the refugees after having lost my home. And so I felt really passionate about doing that work. So when we have empathy, we're able to be resilient. When we fall down, we're able to get back up again. Have you ever felt like your life seemed perfectly fine, or almost perfectly fine? Things generally went well, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything falls apart, things hit the fan. Anyone experience that? Yeah. Me, especially being a recovering perfectionist, it was really challenging. For the most part, I had a lot of things go my way, and then a couple years ago, it just was like one thing after the other, not just my home, having lost clients, my jobs, my stepsister passed away. My relationship was like rocky. It was just a terrible time for me, and I was like, when is this gonna end? When is that light in the tunnel finally gonna shine again? When is this gonna be over? But it was actually an opportunity to redesign my life. So when things happen like that, it's important to see it as an opportunity. When things fall apart, it's an opportunity to redesign your life in some way. It's hard to see that sometimes when we're going through that, but looking back, you can actually see that that was meant to happen for a reason, and that's an opportunity to redesign your life. So basically, when I didn't have my home, I went around the world, I traveled, and I did a lot of soul searching. I was like, well, I don't have a home, I might as well take this opportunity to do some soul searching. I went to India, I went to Bali. I did all the meditation, the yoga, the Ayurveda. I visited different ashrams. I was trying to find myself. But the surprising thing is I actually came back after that journey with more questions than answers. I had expected to get all these answers. I was like, oh, I'll figure this out when I travel. I came back more confused. I tried to make this move to California, and that never happened. I came back to DC, and I'm so happy I did. But, you know, it was like all these expectations that I had. I realized that it's not really great to have expectations. It's good to have goals. But it's important to be open to what's going to come your way when you're going through a transformation like that.